2021 is finally here. It's a new year, it's time for a new video. Hey guys, how are y'all doing? I'm doing fantastic, thank you for asking, and welcome back to kind of a different video today. Today we aren't talking about gaming or streaming or anime or anything like that. Today we're taking a look at a little project I've been working on over the past few months, which is in fact the inspiration for this project came about a few months ago when my guitar hero and all-time favorite guitar player, Eddie Van Halen, passed away. His FRANXXENSTRAT guitar was a guitar that he built himself using a scrap body from the music shop where he worked. I wanted to make my own version of the guitar using a great looking design that meant something to me and had the exact specs that I wanted. I started the whole project with a list of specs such as one pickup, one volume knob, definitely no Lloyd Rose bridge, just a hardtail bridge. I wanted some expandability, and I knew I wanted a let's see if I can put it in the frame here. Yeah, I know I wanted an inline pegs. I knew I wanted inline pegs. I knew I wanted a bridge humbucker, and I wanted it to be high output. So I chose the Seymour Duncan JB pickup, which I know is one of the higher output pickups that you can buy. And I went with this very interesting bridge. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but if you can see, let me see if I can put out the camera here. You can see the different colored beads right there. Those are actually the ends of the strings. Basically, all I need to do to change the strings when I want to is take the strings out of the top, the tuning pegs, and then obviously just pull the beads out from the bottom, which is, you know, a way better process, or way easier process in my opinion than having to block the tremolo on my Lloyd Rose guitar. Let's talk about the design of the guitar, and then I'll talk about the process in which I built the guitar. So the design for this guitar, this white body with the black pickguard and this interesting gold and pink and black stripes, came from one of my all-time favorite animes, actually. I guess we are talking a little bit about anime today. So the second anime I ever watched was Darling in the Franxx, and that was kind of like a gateway into everything that I've watched. My list is like, I don't know, 55, 60 long. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but the main mech in the show uses the white, black, pink, and gold color scheme, so that's where that comes from. It's not obvious on the guitar, but it just looks really cool as a color scheme, and the gold just matches the maple neck, the finished maple neck, and it just looks fantastic. But even before all of the painting, I wanted to make sure that all of my parts would fit in the body so that I wouldn't have to run into compatibility issues down the road. So what I did was I mounted the pickup to the pickguard, and I mounted the potentiometer to the pickguard as well. And I put the pickguard on top of the body without painting or without screwing it in or anything. And it turns out that I needed more space in the pickup cavity and a little bit more space in the, here, I'll pick this up again, I'll show you. I need a little bit more space in the pickup cavity, which is right here, pickup cavity, and I needed a little bit more space in the input jack cavity to fit the ellipse shaped input jack cover that I got. I also needed more room in the pickguard itself for the pickup and for the bridge. There's a cutout on the pickguard for the bridge, and I needed that to be bigger to fit my bridge as well. So I took a Dremel tool with a kind of like a grinder attachment, and I just went around the perimeter of the pickup cavity and around the edge of the input jack cavity, as well as around the edge of the pickup spot for in the pickguard, and the bridge spot as well. Now, another big thing with building guitars is the neck. The neck has to fit into this neck pocket. You can see in the body. The body is here, the neck is here, and there's a pocket right here that the neck has to go into. One of the big things is making sure that the neck is fit and firm and snug in that neck pocket. And when I first got the body and the neck did not fit in the pocket. The neck was too big for the pocket, so I had to Dremel out the neck pocket as well. Now, Dremel is not the ideal tool. You'd probably want to use a router for those tasks, but I don't have a router, so I had to make do with what I had. And then, so we talked about what I had to do before painting, which was routing out the dremeling out the cavities and cutting the plastic pickguard. For this body of this guitar, I obviously did a bunch of paint on here, so I can show you exactly what I used. It's nothing too fancy, nothing too special. I used the majority of it was Duplicolor spray paint. Let me grab it. I used the Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 primer, filler, and sandable. I used about I used 2 cans. I did about 5 coats of primer. After the primer came this Duplicolor Perfect Match Polar Arctic White. It duplicates original GM colors. It's the Arctic White variant, and I did about 3-4 coats of white using 2 cans as well. After that, I did the gold. For the gold, I used Rust-Oleum Gloss Tuscan Sun, which worked really, really well. It's the exact gold that I wanted, and the pink as well was really great color match in terms of color match. Last but not least, I've got the pink, or rather gloss watermelon from Krylon. This just, again, I saw this at, I believe it was Home Depot, and I immediately said that this color, this was the exact color that I needed for the pink stripes. In terms of protecting the paint, I use this Duplicolor Perfect Match Automotive Clear Coat, and it's a high gloss finish, so we get that nice shine after a good polish. That was the body. The whole process of priming and painting the body took about 2 weeks, I want to say. Yeah, it was. You had to be patient, and I'm not very patient, so that was probably my biggest downfall with the project, is that I should have been more patient in terms of letting paint dry, sanding the body. I should have sanded the body way more than I did before putting the primer on, because what happened was the wood grain was showing through, and it still shows through even after all of the layers of paint that I did. But I like how the grain looks. It grew on me. After the clear coat, I went ahead and used automotive pinstripe tape, and as you can see, let me just be careful, I got a monitor right next to me, there we go. Let's see, that way. Yeah, you can see I went around the stripes with the automotive pinstripe tape, and on the back as well. Let's see, you can see the sides. Let me try to flip it. There we go, you can see the back as well. After painting everything, I had to make sure everything fit together once again, because, you know, when you paint over something, it adds a layer of material. You want to make sure everything fits. So I did make sure everything fits, and thank goodness that everything fit, even after the 10 plus layers of paint that's on this guitar. after the paint fully dried and the clear coat fully dried, before I did the wiring, I had to put on the neck. And that was quite a task, because what happened was, so I'll show you the back. There's that neck plate. I had to order that neck plate separately because the body did not come with the neck plate and the neck did not come with the neck plate. So the neck plate that I bought from Amazon came with 4 screws. And I thought it was fairly straightforward, you know, drilling pilot holes in the body and the neck and connecting them up together with the screws. However, this neck is a very hard wood. This neck is a very, very hard wood. And the screws, when I tried to screw in the screws that I got that came with the neck plate, one of the screws broke in half inside of the neck in the body joint. So I got all the other screws out and I couldn't get the neck out of the neck pocket because that broken screw was holding the neck into the body. So what I had to do was get a crowbar and kind of shove the crowbar into the space right here in between the neck and the body and kind of shimmy it in there and hope that it would come off. And it did eventually come off. I used my next bit of time to drive on over to the hardware store because I needed 4 more screws. Because I wanted to use a neck plate even still, because it spreads out. What the neck plate does, it spreads out the pressure from a screw. Like if you're screwing something in, right, the head of the screw, I don't have anything around me that I can use as a screw. But let's see, the head of the screw is what's pressing against the wood. And if you have just the head of the screw, that's a tiny amount of surface area, right? It's not very efficient. But if you have a neck plate like this, split between 4 screws, that spreads the surface area out of the tension and you get a more efficient joint there. So once the neck was on and fit, I could then move on to the electronics because everything was on the body that needed to be on the body. Everything was on the headstock that needed to be on the headstock. The tuners, hip shot tuners, fantastic tuners in my experience with them so far. But anyways, the electronics were next. The pickup that I bought, the Seymour Duncan JB pickup, has a few wires. It has a red wire, a white wire, a green wire, a bare wire, and a black wire. Yes. The red and the white wires get soldered together and taped off. The green and the bare wires are ground, so they go to the back of the potentiometer and they get soldered to the back of the potentiometer. The black wire out the pickup is the hot, the live wire. That goes to the leftmost peg on the potentiometer. And once that was figured out, I mocked everything up and I decided to do the electronics, which was pretty simple. I'll throw up a wiring diagram in the video right about now, someplace here. I keep looking over at my second monitor because I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to point to, but yeah, I did the electronics, and that was as simple as soldering the pickup wire from the pickup to the hot tab on the potentiometer and the back of the potentiometer, and I also had to solder from so we had from the pickup to the potentiometer, which is this right here. This knob is attached to a electrical component that turns and has three little pegs. I'll put another picture of it up, probably right here. I had to then take a wire from the bridge, because you have to ground the bridge as well, from the bridge to the potentiometer, and I had to solder the bridge ground, the pickup ground, and the ground from the input jack all to the back of the potentiometer, and that was a tricky bit because the back of the potentiometer had some kind of coating on it, and there's a technique where you need to, I think they call it tin, to tin the back of the potentiometer before you can actually get the solder to stick to the back of the potentiometer. So that was quite the task, wiring everything together. It was a tedious job, a fiddly bit, if you will. This is the sound test for the new guitar. Here we go, take a listen. Sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Thanks to everyone who tuned into this video, listening to me blabber on about how I made my guitar back there. And if you enjoyed what you see, you can subscribe, you can like the video, leave a comment about what you thought, maybe even leave a comment about what you plan to do for 2021. And hit that bell if you want to be notified every time I post something new. You can go ahead and follow me on twitch.tv/drumfire01 if you want to see my streams that are going to be coming up soon. I'm on a new Minecraft server and I'm building a really large private school, so if you want to see how that turns out or how I'm doing with that, drop me a follow on Twitch so that you'll be notified when I go live. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming. I will see you guys at the next stream.